Financial Freedom Fridays. So on today's segment, I want to share with all you students and even young adults who, may have graduated in the last 5 years or so, some of the important tips and advice on student debt repayment. And honestly, I wish that I had this information when I graduated from school. I always made sure that I didn't skip a payment, but some of the information that I'm going to give you today, I really didn't take into consideration. First of all, there's about 40 million students in the U.S. that have student loan debt. So it is huge, 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 which, we have a total of $1.2 trillion of U.S. outstanding student loan debt. So if you guys have student loans, you're definitely not alone. I mean, millions and millions of people, unfortunately, are not able to afford higher education, and, it's necessary to take out loans. The benefit is that you're graduating and you're able to earn a higher living, but the trade-off is that you're stuck with so much money in student loan debt, right? So first off, when you graduate, you want to make sure that you understand the terms of your student loan. So you want to know how much money you borrowed, over that 4 or 5 year period that you were an undergraduate. You want to know how much your interest is. And so it's really important for you to find out just that little bit of information. You also want to make sure all of your contact information is up to date. Most often you may have a job in another state. And so 6 months after you graduate, your student loan is due. Okay, so for 6 months you have this grace period that you don't have to worry about making any payments. But after that 6 month grace period, you have to make payment to your lender, right? So if you're moving out of state, you want to make sure that your contact information is accurate and up to date, so that when your first bill come in the mail, you receive it, right? So you want to make sure that information is correct, because you do not want to default on your loan because you didn't receive your billing statement. So that's so critical. Now here's the other thing. Once you have your information, you want to know when is payment due, the exact date that payment is due, and you want to be sure to take advantage of automatic repayment. So you want to contact either your bank or the lender and set up an automatic draft so that repayment comes out automatically. Preferably, here's the other thing, guys, preferably every week. This is something that I've done, and it saves, it helps to reduce the interest that's accruing. So if you can, I know some banks won't allow you to set up weekly drafts, but if you can set up a weekly draft, it's even better, right? Because you're reducing the time that the interest has to grow. Another thing that I want to talk about is really consolidation, okay? Before we even talk about repayment. Consolidation, everyone I just thought, once you graduate, you just take all your loans and you just consolidate them. But that's really not always the best option. The thing with consolidation is that while you can make one monthly payment to cover all your loans, it does lead to a longer repayment period, right? Which in turn allows interest to accrue for a longer period. So essentially, you end up paying more money overall because you consolidated. You want to know if you have subsidized loans or unsubsidized loans, okay? If your loan is subsidized, the federal government pays the interest while you're in school. So for those 4 years or 5 years that you're a full-time student, interest is being paid. If it's unsubsidized, the interest starts accruing on the day that the loan is taken out. So here's another thing, right, guys? If you're able to pay an additional $25, just a little as $25 per week on your student loan repayment, you would drastically reduce the amount of time that it takes to pay off the student loan, but also reduce that interest. So let's look at an example of $15,000 balance at 4.5%, which is considered a modest loan. And so if you look at that over a 10-year period, which is the typical repayment time, you're looking at 120 months at $155 per month. But if you would just put an extra $25 per week, that will reduce your payment from 120 months to 67 months, which is a little over 5 years. So you're looking at huge amounts of savings, guys. Most often you're thinking, you know, I may not have the $25. So I always talk about just the small things that you can do in order to generate that additional $25. The other thing you want to do is to never ever skip a payment. Unfortunately, you may not have a job, or you may just overall have come into something unexpectedly where you don't have the money. You want to make sure you reach out to your lender, because you can file for a deferment or forbearance. And so at that point, you're not liable to repay the lender. And so you really have like another little period of time that, that you don't have to make the payment. But you do not want to skip a payment or default on your loan, right? Never do that. So hopefully we could get loans paid off in less than 10 years just by taking these simple steps and being proactive. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at I am Romona if you have not. And until next week, have an awesome weekend. And remember to commit to being spiritually, physically, and financially fit. Happy Friday.